access to water and right to water are different fields. So when the G77 proposals says that right to water is one chapter, one paragraph, and management, investments, money, implementation is other chapter, I think we touched the interesting point on how we can communicate on what they are trying to do is basically the UNEP-led countries and the liberal countries is giving us the idea, is giving the population the idea that implementation is about funding and market-based mechanism and green economy, etc., etc. And I think we should search to communicate to the population simply like that, to say it's important, implementation and mechanism, but rights we are being bracketed, they are trying to delete, to bracket the rights, and these are not on the same field of reflection. We have an ethical field of reflection about the rights, which cannot be confounded on the same field as investment and management and access to water. On this example of water can be useful. We try to say that in our struggles that right to water is kind of related to the ethics. Water cannot be confounded with a commodity. Water cannot be put on the same field as a service. So it's not a matter of investment. It's a matter of the Mother Earth, the relationship with nature, the changing of paradigm, etc., etc. And just to say a final word about communication, I'm quite concerned about the lack of Brazilians on this room. I am from Rio and I'm working on the People's Summit there in Rio for June, and we are expecting thousands of people. The mobilization in the ground is very good, but there's lack of communication with these inside groups. So I urge you to send texts, position papers, and to put activities on the website of the People's Summit, which is now delayed to the 5th of May, so we can propose activities for this big meeting that we are building in Rio.
And the website is?
The website is rio2012.org, or Cúpula dos Povos, CUPULADOSPOVOS.org.br.
Thank you, Andre.
But if you put in Google, it's easy.
Yeah, easy to find, but we need to get some, this has to tie to what's going on in the People's Summit. That's part of our, I think, our commitment to keep moving forward and to have, similar to a Cochabamba experience where, civil society came together, came up with very good, strong documents, worked through the text. I think we want to have something that's based in very interactive sessions in the People's Summit, so thanks for bringing that up. Sylvia, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Sylvia Ribeiro from EDC Group in Mexico, and I wanted to highlight just a couple of issues that were already briefly mentioned, but one is the consideration of technology inside the document, and I think that we can see the word technology so many times in all kinds of documents, so we stopped counting. But it's like one of the pillars that everyone consider that technology is part of the solution. In reality, if we look back, we will see that technology has sometimes been part of the solution and most times been part of the problems. And we are very concerned that here in the negotiations, one of the, I don't know if to call it right, but what is happening is that the issue of technology prior evaluation, prior assessment is very poorly considered. In fact, there is a proposal now, there are two proposals, but it is impossible, for instance, for most of countries in the south to develop national capacity, as is one of the proposals, because there are a lot of really powerful new emerging technologies that are being pushed by really powerful corporations, and each individual country will never develop the capacity to see what these technologies imply. For instance, like all the different branches of nanotechnology, synthetic biology, even some of the climate manipulation technologies that are being proposed. And because of that, it is really, really urgent that together with speaking on technology, we need to recuperate a non-profit, independent, multilateral way of having a prior assessment on technologies before they are dumped into different countries or sold even. So this is one thing that we are worried about. As I said, there are two proposals, but the one that stresses capacity at national level is really not sufficient. And the other one speaks about the need of having prior assessment on technologies because of their health and environmental assessments. But we think also that it has to have a strong component of the participation of the affected people. Because if we look back in the last 20 years, we have much more powerful technologies, and who has been really making those technologies be analyzed are organizations, the environmental organizations, social organizations, farmer trade unions. So this is really needed. It will never come from the people that promote the technologies. So I wanted just to highlight that this is also something that we really should be looking at. And the other point that I wanted to mention is today was this discussion on agriculture, and it's really it's really worrying how they are treating agriculture as if agriculture is either a problem or of a carbon sink, basically, So agriculture is the basis of survival for everybody, not only for some people. And I think this about considering, for instance, small farmers and peasants as a nice contribution, like this is the way of mentioning, is incredibly unfair, because 70% of the food is produced today by small farmers and peasants. So we're speaking about the majority of the food in the world and the majority of the people that are living on that food. So most of this principle, and I finish here, this principle that Choke Ling said that polluter pays is not being considered, in this case is totally reverted. It's like agriculture, industrial agriculture is one of the main problems, and it's being kind of rewarded by speaking about, the possibilities and the collaboration of industrial agriculture to be better, which couldn't be bad if they do. But we really need to emphasize that supporting small farming and peasant agriculture is not a nice thing to do. It's essential.
Good, thank you. So we have 1, 2. So the floor is still open. Here we go.
Thanks, Anil. I had 2 suggestions. One of them is that if those who are interested in writing to we have the UN ambassadors in New York and heads of state and government, just a short letter, if they got enough short letters about the question of rights, they're bound to sit up and listen. I'm myself really surprised at how easy sometimes it is just to switch the EU round by talking to 1 or 2 states. So if you'd like to do that, we do have the Instant Response Network. And if you would like to write a short letter and send it to me, then it will be sent out from your name and your organization, and you can establish, who you want it sent to. If you want it sent to one government or the heads of state and government or all the UN ambassadors. So if you'd like to make use of that, that would be great. We'd be glad to do that. The second thing is that when we talk about rights and governments don't want to acknowledge the fact that there are agreed upon rights, what is happening is there is a contradiction between the governments and their people. So the opposite of that is the governments that are actually working together with their people. And recently I've been just so affected doing a little research about how many governments are doing really good things together with their people, supporting the people as a commons, for instance, like Norway and Switzerland. And no government is perfect, obviously, but there are governments that are doing really good things. And to emphasize and somehow put it up there, these governments are working with their people, is actually a way of emphasizing the fact that people have rights.
Good, thank you. And there are some, one more, there are some states that were here, I don't know if they want to talk about how easy it is to shift their position.